got a racehorse here, a thoroughbred. You make him feel good, I teach him how to run. I'm not your daddy, I'm not your boyfriend, so don't be playing games with me. I'm your partner. Love this. I got half of me that says I got a hold of the best thing that I ever seen, and half of me that says it just ain't worth it.
Hey guys, I'm Kevin.
I'm Jake.
And this is Movie Matters. Today we're talking about The Color of Money, 1986. Martin Scorsese. First time seeing it for both of us. What'd you think, Jake? Start it off.
I'm really surprised that I haven't seen this before. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Really?
I thought Tom Cruise was awesome. I thought Paul Newman was unreal. Like, he's incredible in this.
Yeah.
I loved the writing. There were some, like, classic, like, Scorsese flares in it, you know, that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overall, I really liked it.
Nice. So this movie is a sequel to The Hustler, Paul Newman movie that came out in 1961. Did you watch The Hustler, or you didn't have time?
I didn't have time, but I read the synopsis before jumping on.
So I watched it, and both movies were just okay for me. I didn't love them. I didn't hate them. I was pretty bored with The Hustler, to be honest, and I'm sure people are going to disown me for that because it's like a classic. It just was. I mean, it's super well done, and the acting's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it was just boring for me. Maybe I wasn't in the right mindset. It just didn't click for me. It's like the first part of the movie's good, the middle like drags, and the ending is pretty good. This movie, Color of Money, being the sequel to that, I would say it's on par, if not a little better than the first one. Like you said, the writing's good, the acting is awesome, and it's Martin Scorsese, and it has his flair, like you said. Like that, I just love that aspect of the movie for sure. Like all that is great, but overall, the movie just is kind of like this for me. It's just very stagnant. The story is just very stagnant, in my opinion, and that's kind of how the first one is too. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it just didn't click with me that much.
Yeah, I think I think The Color of Money, being the only one that I actually watched, is much more of like a character study than like a plot driven movie.
That is like the first one too.
Yeah. So one of my favorite shows of all time is Mad Men, which is also basically a character driven storyline, and there is no real overarching narrative, to it. And I don't know, I like when there's like really good character development, and like that's really what this movie's about.
Yeah.
It's like fleshing out who these people are and like their entanglement, the entanglement of their lives, together. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
Nice. Now, the one main question I have about this movie is, who is the main character? Is it Paul Newman's Eddie, or is it Tom Cruise's Vincent or Vince?
Yeah, I think that the movie is kind of from Eddie's point of view. I think primarily.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, though, like Vincent plays obviously a huge part in it, but we don't really. Like, by the end of it, we don't really know much about Vincent besides, he, like, had a crappy job. He gets talked into playing or hustling pool. And, like, he's got this girlfriend that's kind of, whatever about him. And really,
Yeah.
like, we don't know much else about his personal life, where, like, Eddie is, like, super well developed, even though, like, they don't address anything from The Hustler, really, at least
No,
directly.
not really.
But you can tell that Eddie's got kind of a sordid past. And, like, I don't know, it'd be interesting to hear your, like, comparison between his character in The Hustler versus in The Color of Money, and, like, how Newman acts in, both movies. Like, he seems like a total nihilist in The Color of Money. And, like, he's lost, like, all, kind of respect for other people, and, like, everybody's just, a potential mark for him.
Yeah. In The Hustler, he is like an alcoholic, and he pursues this relationship with this woman that's also an alcoholic, and he is all about the hustle, and he's all about, like, betting, and the next thing is like, go again, let's keep going, and if he loses, he's like, let's double it or nothing, like, let's play again. And he's, like, very kind of a degenerate in The Hustler, and his acting in it's awesome. And the girl he's dating dies, and he basically, like, has a turn of character a little bit, and it's interesting. Again, I didn't love it. It's super well edited, and there's a couple throwbacks to it in The Color of Money that I really liked, and I'll mention those in a little bit. But he was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor for The Hustler. The Hustler was nominated for a handful of Oscars. It won 2. It was, I think, cinematography for black and white film, and it was set design. I'm pretty sure, and I'll double check. But this movie was also nominated for a handful of Oscars, and he won the Best Actor Oscar, which is
his
pretty
only
cool.
Best Actor win, from what I read.
Really? It's his only?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is, pretty cool. I think well-deserved, because he's really good in this movie.
He is really good. That is his only Oscar. He did win an honorary Oscar the year before. But what's interesting is in The Hustler, the editor, Dee Dee Allen, there was an entire scene from the film that was, like, deleted. And the director, Robert Rosen, and Allen, the editor, both agreed that the scene was so powerful. It was basically Paul Newman in the pool room, like, delivering this, like, crazy impassioned speech, and they threw it out because it didn't move the story, which is ironic because the movie is just like this again, like I said. But because they omitted it, Paul Newman was, like, pissed, because he's like, that cost me the Oscar. And, like, they even thought, like, this is an amazing speech, and it's crazy that they deleted it, but it's also crazy that he won this for this movie. And it's, a lot of people say it's like kind of a give me Oscar, where they're like, all right, after all these years of being an amazing actor, we're just going to give him this Best Actor Oscar.
Like Scorsese winning for The Departed.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's
nothing
the same,
else.
Yeah, it's the same scenario. And what's funny is, like, I was looking kind of at the awards, and, like, he was nominated for a Golden Globe for it, and he didn't win the Golden Globe, but won the Oscar. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie was also nominated for Best Supporting Actress for her name's, like, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. That's what it is. It's, like, a crazy last name. It's really cool. She was also in The Abyss. She is really good in this movie. And yeah, it was nominated for that. It was nominated for writing and set decoration. But it only won the Oscar for best acting. So pretty interesting that it won for that. And it's cool because I found this piece of trivia, and I love this because it ties into our first movie of the month. Paul Newman felt that Scorsese was the right person for the job to direct the movie because he liked the way Scorsese directed Raging Bull.
Oh, nice.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously this being kind of another sports movie, would you classify this movie as a sports movie?
Yeah, I mean, this much more so than I think even Raging Bull and what did we watch last week?
Over the Top, that's extremely
Over the
forgettable.
Top. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, the entire focus of this movie is playing pool.
Yeah.
Like, pretty, like, easily. So, yeah, I think this, like, truly is a sports movie.
Yeah.
Not the traditional narrative arc of a sports movie, but nonetheless, it is a movie about sports.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the veteran
there's
player.
no, like, underdog comes out on top kind of story in this.
No.
It's a classic, I think, again, like, Martin Scorsese tragedy kind of movie, but,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, you've got the classic veteran takes a protege under his wing and tries to show him the ropes, and then it's like, master versus apprentice, who's better and who's gonna reign on top is kind of a classic story.
It's kind of a lot like Rocky V, actually. If I'm just gonna pluck a comparison out of thin air.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like where he's training Machine Gun Tommy. Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean this movie it makes me want to play pool. Like I enjoy playing pool. I'm not very good at it. What's cool is Tom Cruise and Paul Newman got very good at playing pool. Like all their shots basically are real. Tom Cruise did his own trick shots for the film, except one where he jumps the two balls to sink another. He's like, Cruise could have learned the shot just because Cruise is like an insane actor where he's just like, oh, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn it. Like, obviously we know that from like the Mission Impossible movies with his stunts.
Yeah.
And he could have learned to do the trick shot and would have learned to do the trick shot, but it would have taken 2 days. And Scorsese's like, I don't want to, have 2 days holding up production and wasting thousands of dollars. So they performed it with like a professional instead. But in The Hustler, Paul Newman does his own like pool work in there, and he apparently he had never played pool prior to The Hustler, which is crazy because he's good in it, and it's shot so well, that movie. And he literally moved his dining table and put a pool table in where his dining table was and practiced like day and night. And he played, you got Minnesota Fats, who's played by Jackie Gleason in The Hustler, who's in the movie for like 20 minutes, but he's pretty awesome in it. He, like him and Gleason, Newman and Gleason would play all the time, even like after production, or like filming had wrapped for the day. They'd play all the time and bet like a ton of money, which was pretty cool to read.
That's funny.
So yeah, I read some of the trivia for The Hustler, just because I wanted to be brushed up on it as well. But it's pretty cool that they learned to do their own pool shots and everything like that, which is, I mean, just anything you can do in camera makes it look so much better. And, the camera work on this movie is really good. And the editing is fucking awesome. We've got another film that's edited by Scorsese's frequent editor, Thelma Schoonmaker. She does awesome work with this movie. I think the editing in this movie is killer. I'm shocked it didn't get nominated for an Oscar. What's also cool about, it makes me want to play pool is for The Hustler, pool sales went up, which is funny. Like for pool tables, they went up because of the movie. And when the sequel was released, Color of Money, basically sales of pool tables and billiards like went up again. So it's pretty interesting to see these trends, especially with a lot of Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah,
like,
in particular, he seems to be involved in a lot of these like things that kind of like reignite trends, which is kind of cool.
Like the Ray-Bans from Risky Business,
Aviators from Top Gun.
yeah, and like going to flight school in general.
Yeah.
For the Navy, which is crazy, and then billiards for this. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was only 23 when this movie came out. He was like 23 or 24, and that's pretty crazy, especially to work with Martin Scorsese and Paul Newman. I mean, obviously,
is this in between Risky Business and Top Gun?
this is the same year Top Gun came out.
No shit. Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I'm gonna verify that, but I'm like 90% sure.
He looks way older in Top Gun than he does in this.
It 100% is, because it's his hair. So I think we talk about it in our Top Gun review. There's that shot in the elevator where he's like in a towel just coming back from like working out, and he meets up with Kelly McGillis's character, and she's got like a hat on. And they did reshoots for Top Gun during this movie, during The Color of Money. And that's the elevator scene that they shoot. And his hair, in this movie, his hair is like almost like 50s greaser style, where it's like super kind of poofy and like up. Mm-hmm. And they wet his hair to make it look more like his hair in Top Gun. And that's also why they had Kelly McGillis in the hat, because they had both changed for roles that they were doing, which is, specifically this movie. So pretty crazy that he had this and Color of Money come out.
Yeah.
So
it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, he's, again, I think I've said it before in our other Tom Cruise movies. I like Tom Cruise. I know people don't like him. And I feel like a lot of people don't like him because of his like Scientology background and his personal life. In my opinion, I don't give a shit about his personal life. Like, you can be whoever the fuck you want to be and do weird shit. I mean, as long as you're not crazy and insane or doing harm to other people.
Yeah.
But, like, he's a fucking movie star through and through. I like pretty much love all his movies.
One of maybe like 5 remaining like true movie stars.
100%. And I love watching interviews with him, because not only is he just crazy because of all the stunts he fucking does, he's one of the few artists or actors out there, and producers, because he does produce a lot of the movies he does. He's one of the few out there that's like, I do this for the audience. Yeah. I want the audience to be entertained. My first thought is, how is the audience going to react to this? And that is the best way to make filmmaking, if you ask me. And he is a huge movie aficionado. And there's there's a cool story with him on how he got Brian De Palma to direct Mission Impossible, the first one, where I think he was like, I'm probably paraphrasing and misquoting here, but he was watching movies with Spielberg, and they were watching like Brian De Palma movies, and they were like, oh, this guy's awesome, like I want him to direct, and they like invited De Palma to watch movies with him, and then they like basically got into cahoots, and they're like, yeah, you got to direct this movie, because De Palma does the first Mission Impossible, which is badass. Which arguably I think the first Mission Impossible is the weakest.
It's been a long time, but I'd probably agree.
Yeah, the second one is goofy as fuck. It's John Woo.
Yeah,
but it's like stupid entertaining because it's funny.
I don't know. I think that's the worst one, but
everyone thinks that. The third one's awesome. I mean, that's a franchise that has consistently gotten better, and like it's so solid and entertaining. Like, if you think about it comparatively to like the Fast and Furious movies, those movies just get like dumber and dumber.
Yeah.
And you've got these movies that are still smart, still entertaining, still action packed. Like not the most recent one, which I thought the most recent one was great. The one before that, Fallout, is insane. It's one of the best action movies ever made. Have you seen it?
I can't remember if I've seen Fallout or not.
It's the one where he's like kind of skydives and
the
goes
Halo
into
jump
the club.
one?
Yes.
Okay, I think I did watch that one, but I feel like it was on an airplane, so like I didn't get a great
you got to rewatch it. It's
I'm
so
waiting
damn
for the
good.
full 4K collection to come out, and then I'll watch them.
Okay. Yeah, the new one comes out next month, and I'm stoked for it. So I've always liked Tom Cruise. He still had like, He has that unibrow in this movie, and it
Yeah.
bothers me. It's like, come on, dude. And he's like super cocky in this movie. I like his acting in it. He's a little goofy in it with his like karate with the pool stick.
Yeah.
You know, the pool
But
cue.
I mean, he's like a 20-something-year-old,
Yeah.
like clown. So it's
Exactly.
yeah, it fits.
Now, do you think when we talk about, I mean, this movie being a character-driven story, do you think, and this kind of relates to my question about you asking who the main character is, and again, I agree with you with Eddie, Paul Newman's character being the main character, especially with how the movie ends, which we'll get to, but do you think he has a good character arc, Tom Cruise's character, Vincent?
Yes. So my explanation is going to jump right to the end. If
That's fine. That's
You're
fine. We'll
ready
get
to-
to it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's totally fine.
so, like, there were two ways, I think, to interpret the ending of the movie. One, which I'm like honestly not entirely sure which one I favor, so I want to hear your thoughts on it. But I think there's two different ways that you can interpret like where Eddie goes, you know, from the ending. And
Yeah.
to recap real quick, he forfeits the pool tournament, throws the $8,000 back at Vincent before leaving. Vincent kind of like follows him and is like, what the fuck? Like, you know, I did exactly what you told me to do. You know, like we made this like huge hustle. Like, I don't understand what your problem is. And Eddie basically says like, you know, you let me win. And like, he's not happy about it. And he's like, I'm going to beat your ass. And so they start talking shit to each other, and Eddie says like, if I don't beat you today, then I'm going to beat you next month, and if I don't do it then I'm going to do it next month, and then next month, and then next month, and like, you know, so then they're like, all right, let's fucking play, and you know, they rack him up, and then he you know, does the break, and it like cuts out,
Which I love that ending.
which was awesome.
I love the ending.
So from that, the first interpretation that I had is that, you know, Eddie is trying to make this comeback, but he's just a sad old man trying to relive the glory days. And he's just going to like cling to that, like, or like chase that dragon until he, you know, dies. And he's never going to achieve, you know, what he wants to. Which would, I'd say, is the more Scorsese-esque interpretation of the ending. And the other ending I think you could interpret is that, you know, he is, you know, like he says, he's like, I'm back. And, you know,
Love
like he's
that line.
ready to fucking, you know, rock and roll. And he's ready to kick ass, you know. So, I mean, it's kind of up to you. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
On what? Well, tell me, because you said there's two different endings. I only heard like one there.
Oh, so one is that like he's not good anymore.
Oh.
And
okay.
he'll just continue to lose and lose and lose and lose, and you
Interesting.
know, like he'll never be able to reach, you know, relive his glory days, you know.
Oh, okay,
and
I got
the
you.
other one is that he actually is back and he is the best and he's gonna, you know, dominate and kick everybody's ass, you know.
My interpretation is he was never doing what he wanted to do, to be a liquor salesman. Like he was always, even though he says there's the whole theme of like, you know, I'm the best at what I do. He's the best salesman, but in the end, he's really the best hustler. Is really what it is.
Right.
And he knows how to make a quick buck. And he just stuck with alcohol salesman because he was literally an alcoholic and loved bourbon. That was literally his shtick and like his like way of life. And so I think he kind of got away from the pool aspect, and he was trying to like find a protege when he didn't need to find a protege. He just needed to find that spark back in himself to get back into his real passion, which is playing pool. And I think that's what that's how I interpreted the ending, especially with having seen The Hustler prior to this. I think that helps fuel my take on it. What do you think?
No, I mean, yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Because, you know, I like the Scorsese tragedy.
Yeah.
I kind of envision him being like the sad old man who's like living a delusion of, you know,
The
trying
glory
to
days.
become the best again. You
Yeah.
know, kind of thing.
That is a great point, though. That's a great theory to it. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, because it's, you know, like in a lot of ways, Vincent kind of becomes the villain of the movie.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And like, I mean, there's definitely an antagonistic relationship that Eddie and Vincent have throughout the movie. And like, yeah, it's weird because they're supposed to be cooperating and trying to hustle together, you know, to make money. But Vincent's such a, you know, hard-headed kid that he can't learn, or he's unwilling to learn what Eddie's trying to teach him. And so yeah, I did like, to go back to your character arc question.
Yes.
I think it is interesting how Vincent does actually prove that he did learn something from
he can
Eddie.
take the L.
In the end, Eddie's disappointed and pissed off, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting way to kind of subvert that character arc that Vincent actually completes. And Eddie's still not, you know, satisfied. So yeah, I mean, I think it speaks a lot about Eddie as a character. That, like, exactly, I think what you're saying, that, like, he's not satisfied with anything in his life.
Yeah.
So no matter what he was going to do with Vincent, he was never actually going to be happy until he started playing again.
Yeah, and I think there's with his girlfriend, I think that's also kind of a plot point that drives this case, is she's wanting to go to the Bahamas and like take a vacation, and he puts her on the wayside, which is ironic, and I'll get to that in a second. It's ironic because, well, he puts her by the wayside to go and do this pool tournament because he thinks he found his cash cow.
Yeah.
But it's ironic because he is telling Vincent that he's going to lose his girlfriend because just like she's losing traction and she needs something fun.
Yeah.
And it seems like that is very parallel to his life almost, but he doesn't realize that.
Yeah, and like that, I mean, I think there's a little bit of truth in him saying that to Vincent about Carmen. But
I agree.
I think for the most part, he's playing a con on Vincent to get him to do what he wants, you know?
Yeah. And that, yeah, he's playing the mind game with him for sure. And like that scene, the scene where she goes to the bathroom and he's like Vincent's like looking for her, and he tells her to go out and get cigarettes, and she comes back and he's like, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me you were getting cigarettes and all that? So, yeah, I would agree. It's kind of a mind fuck, but
Yeah.
she also is like a femme fatale almost in this a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. But I was going to say, too, that, like, we get that glimpse that, like, Eddie's, like, a true hustler in the dinner scene where he's talking about how, like, it's not about playing pool, it's about understanding people. And he kind of gets in an argument with Vincent, and he says that he'll bet him the dinner check that the guy at the bar is going to get up in like 30 seconds and leave, because he's going to get rejected by the girl. And like just after 30 seconds, the guy leaves. He's like, all right, how about we'll bet again. And if I walk out with that girl in under 2 minutes, you guys pick up the tab. And Vincent obviously takes the bet. He goes and sits down next to the girl, says, come out to my car with me. They go outside. Then you find out that he knew both of those people.
Yeah.
So like he's constantly running like some sort of con, throughout the entire movie, I think. Which is, again, speaks volumes about his character, and that like, he's just engrossed in this like constant hustle.
Yeah, agreed. But I like that. And I'm blanking on the girlfriend's name. Carmen. Carmen is like she's whip smart. She's such a good character in this because she picks that up. She's like, oh, I bet you knew those people, and that's how you got it.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, she's kind of the femme fatale where like she's like showing herself off in the mirror when he comes in, and she answers the door in just like a button-up shirt that's like wide open. And I like that Eddie, Paul Newman's just like, yo, quit fucking with me. Like, I'm not you're not trying to be my girlfriend. Like, I'm not trying to do anything. Just like, we're business partners. Keep it that way. And I like that scene was awesome.
Yeah. And like his character's really interesting because he has some sort of like principles.
Yeah.
About like the business of hustling, which is like a really interesting and kind of funny thing to like be super principled about. But like he's like, we're not here to like fuck around. We're here to make money.
Yeah.
And like if you're gonna compromise that for me, like we're done. Like I'm dumping both your asses and I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah, super. Yeah, you're making me like the movie a little more talking about it. But that does happen. That does happen in these. I still will probably keep my rating at because I rate all my movies on Letterboxd. I'm probably going to keep it it was at a 3. I might give it a heart, maybe a heart that I liked it. But again, the movie was just like this for me. I don't know if I'll watch it again, but it was good. It's Scorsese, and I love Scorsese. And what's funny is this movie is like this is what Scorsese says. This is the only movie that has come in under schedule and under budget that he's ever made, which is hilarious.
That's funny.
Which is crazy to think, especially with the movies he's doing now, like The Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon with Netflix and Apple TV respectively. Those movies are like $200 million movies. Mm-hmm. And that's insane. Compared to this was a $14.5 million movie. Yeah. And I mean, granted, it's 86 versus, the
but that's
2020s.
Still pretty low budget for even today's standards. Would be somewhere around like 40 million or something. Like that's like most indie movies now.
Yeah. And this movie made a good amount of money. It made almost 53 million at the box office. So it's not like it was a dud or anything like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, 25 years after The Hustler, which is crazy to think. 61 to 86 is only 25 years.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, it made money. It was also like it was kind of a give me to Martin Scorsese. He was just like, I'm just doing it to do it, basically. So, and you can kind of tell that through his direction. It's like got his flair in there, but it's not like his typical type of movie that he makes.
Yeah, it's a little off-brand, but it's not like it definitely still has his like fingerprints on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like there's one scene where and I tried to remember, like tried to take a mental note when I was watching it because I was like, this is like the same exact like shot sequence happens in The Departed. Where like Cruise is, I think it's after they're talking in the like kids store, and Newman's like walking away angrily, and like Vincent says like, hold up, and like the camera like pans and zooms at the same time on Paul Newman, and then like does the same thing back to Tom Cruise, and like those shots Scorsese uses in The Departed on like I can't remember who, but like it's that like super cool like moving zoom shot that's like adds so much like drama to the moment. It's super cool.
Yeah, his camera composition, like his shot composition, is so awesome. And I was just there's like a lot of the cool shots are the interaction of like money.
Yeah,
is really cool. Like the exchange of money where people are paying each other, and it's the camera following the money up, and it's like the movements are so like fluid. Like you feel like you're the money or like part of the scene. It's so cool, and I there's some awesome shots. I mean, the push-ins to Paul Newman in the beginning where he hears how Tom Cruise breaks, like that cool push-in, like that's so Scorsese, and I love that. And there's also in that scene, there's a Tron arcade machine. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
But yeah, going to what you mentioned about Tom Cruise at that child store. It's called Child World. I was like, how is that a real fucking store? That has to be fake. And like, I looked it up. That is a real store. It was a real store.
Yeah, that's weird.
Crazy. Child World. That's creepy as fuck. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Child World.
Yeah, that's super creepy.
What a weird fucking name for a store. Like, I don't know, crazy. But there's a lot of cool lines in this movie. Like sometimes if you lose, you win. I love that line. We got a thoroughbred. You make him feel good. I teach him how to run. Fucking awesome line.
Yeah,
awesome line. And then the whole scene, and this is also kind of a very Scorsese type like sequence of events, is the Werewolves of London sequence with the song. Was it Darren Zevon, I think is the artist who makes that song? Warren Zevon? Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I knew there was A-R-E-N in there. Maybe even double R. But that whole sequence with him going back, because that's where he realizes he goes back to like, I think it's Chalky's or something.
When, Vincent like leaves the hotel and like is like shooting pool, and he's like making like the shots of him syncing all his shots with the song is so cool. Like that's so Scorsese. Like he loves doing that, of like tracking characters and like getting cool shots and then having badass music to it. Like the Rolling Stones, he's like obsessed with the Rolling Stones and puts like that to his moving images, which I love. I like his Balabushka pool stick, his pool cue. That is not a real one, apparently, from what I read. But what's cool is creators of an up-and-coming software company, and I'm reading this, creators of an up-and-coming software company were looking for a name for the revolutionary new video game. They got it from the scene in which Tom Cruise walks into the pool hall and everyone is asked what is in the case that he's carrying. His answer, Doom. So Doom, the video game, got its name from this movie. That's awesome.
Isn't that wild?
That's so cool.
Very interesting. The scene, there's also, the scene where they play the con on that bar where Eddie and Carmen are kind of like in on, like they're like feeling each other up and like
brother,
pretending
sister,
to be a couple.
and a stranger or whatever.
Yeah.
2 brothers and a stranger.
Yeah. That whole sequence is very reminiscent of the first movie. The first scene in The Hustler is like that, where they're trying to, like him and his like business partner, they're trying to raise the stakes and raise the bets. And you get the bartender that's like, "Oh, I'm in for 1,000," and that same exact scene is that.
That's cool.
Which funny, there's a scene with the bartender in the first one, and it's played by Jake LaMotta, who is the raging bull boxer. Yeah, and
that's cool.
He's got like 3 lines. It's like he's just like check. It's like, I'll take another JTS Brown. Check. It's like shit like that. It's really funny. So I like read that in the trivia and I was like, oh no shit, that's cool. That's so funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
That movie has that, and then this movie's directed by Scorsese, and the reason Newman wanted to make this movie is because of Raging Bull. So it's like, it's so interesting that one, we just randomly plan these fucking movies.
Yeah, we
and they
never
always,
like try to tie these things together.
yeah, and they somehow interweave together. And I love that. And it's so weird how that works out with us.
Yeah.
That always, like, that happens pretty frequently. I love that. It's so awesome.
It's fun. It's fun when that happens.
Yeah. I like the Forrest Whitaker cameo. This is like I feel like this is one of his first-ish movies, I think.
That was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Where he
like
gets
when
hustled
he
and he
finally realizes that he's being hustled. Like the devastation is like palpable.
Yeah, I love that scene too. He gets his ass kicked. I love that. He just gets a taste of his own medicine. And yeah, that was a great, really well written scene. And I thought he was going to come back, like him and John Turturro. I thought they were going to be in the like finale more. Like specifically
like
John Turturro's character.
Yeah.
Like he's barely in the ending. And I thought
he's like not super relevant.
No.
You know? I mean, like he's kind of there just to, I think, be like the like spurned protege, you know? Who like kind of got the boot, you know, because like he's only like okay, you know?
Yeah.
He's not nearly as good as Vincent.
Yeah, and but
plus he's like he does coke and Eddie doesn't like that at all. And,
no,
you know, so
no. But there's kind of a throwaway line where John Turturro's character talks to Paul Newman. He's like, "Oh, I could take out Vincent anytime," and it's like you almost have that build up like he's going to like play him in the end, and that's going to be like the big tournament.
I wonder if it's kind of like a bit of a misdirection,
maybe
to like turn Vincent and into like the real like villain in the end, you know?
Probably.
But yeah.
Because the first one, the Hustler, Eddie, Paul Newman's character, loses to like plays Minnesota Fats for like 3 fucking days straight in the first one and loses like really badly at the end. And the ending of the movie is him kind of getting that saving grace or like winning against Minnesota Fats in the end, but it's not really, the movie is not necessarily about beating Minnesota Fats. It's about beating his stakeholder, like his hustler that's taking him in as a protege, who's played by George C. Scott, who's awesome in the movie too. So it's I almost thought that it was going to be like the first one where, you've got Tom Cruise playing John Turturro's character. But I like it much better that it's Cruise versus, Newman. And it just makes it more entertaining for sure. And like, I also thought it was kind of a twist with him being like, "Oh, I lost on purpose," and like bets against him. I really enjoyed that twist. I was like, "Oh shit!" I wanted that to keep going and be like almost the whole con for everything, and not for Paul Newman to get pissed at Cruise. But I get why he gets pissed, and I get that character arc. It's like, well, now I'm back in it, and I wanted to fucking beat you because I am the best.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and because that moment also is like really devastating. It's like after he beats him, like he's walking through the crowd and people are like patting him on the back and stuff.
I love
like
this scene.
He's gonna go to the elevators and he like stops, he like turns, walks outside and goes like
Yeah,
turns around, walks in like nice and like standing straight and stuff. It's like like I mean you're like you feel pretty good because you're like, oh yeah, like he just like crushed him, and then you find out that it was bullshit, and it's kind of it's a bummer.
It is, but I mean overall I liked the movie. I didn't love it, like I said. I mean, again, talking about it, and this happens with a lot of the movies. Again, I'm an easy customer, man. I'm easy, and also talking about the first Hustler makes me like it a little bit more too. I'll probably stick with my reviews. I think rewatchability and I don't think is there for me on these movies. Like I don't know if I'll ever watch them again unless like in the way future down the road, like a friend or like my kid in the future is like, oh, have you ever seen this? It's like, oh, I'll watch it with you. Like that's the only time I'll ever watch it again. I don't really ever plan on watching these movies again. How do you feel?
I would watch it again. I kind of want to watch The Hustler.
You should. You should.
Yeah, I just didn't have time for this episode, but yeah, I'll watch this The Color of Money again. I'm pretty sure.
Good. Yeah, I think The Hustler is worth a watch for sure. I think you should watch it. Again,
and
I
just
don't
for the sake that it's like a pretty renowned classic. So
yeah, for sure it is, and there's the one thing I wanted to mention. I talked about it earlier, and I haven't come back to it. The certain I mentioned it with the bartender, like how it's the first and second one. There's a shot where there's all the like cross dissolves with the editing where you've got like Paul Newman's face with the pool balls getting hit and everything.
Yeah.
That whole scene happens in the first one too, in The Hustler.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's so cool because it's like that's from 1961 and they do that, like that's so awesome. And in this one it's still awesome. It's still an awesome effect, and I think it's a cool throwback to the first one, and I really like that scene. Yeah, overall I would recommend it's worth a watch. They're not the best movies in the world. They're good. They're very good. They're well done. But yeah, I don't know. That's about it for me.
Yeah, the only other thing I want to add is that I've decided when I'm old, I'm going to get those same glasses that he gets.
Those glasses
the,
are fucking
shaded
sick.
eyeglasses are so sick.
Yeah, he looked good for his old age in this movie too, and I love his Cadillac. His Cadillac is badass.
Yeah, his Cadillac is awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, hope you enjoyed Sports Month. This is it. I think we're going to do war movies next month for Memorial Day. We're not sure yet. We're going to talk about that when this episode concludes. But we'll definitely show. I'll post something on Instagram saying what we're going to do. So, hope you enjoyed Sports Month. Next month will be something, but keep your eyes out on Instagram. Follow us on our socials. Like this episode. Comment on it. Let us know what you think. But we appreciate you guys listening and watching.
Yeah. See you next week.